Yo, what up nerds? It's the weekend, so of course it's time for a brand new anime streaming showcase, and I'm going to try and keep this preamble short because in the next bit or whatever, I've got a little bit more of a preamble that will set up this entire episode. But if you can't tell already from the title and everything, this is going to be a spring 2018 preview of anime that are to come. This episode sincerely focuses on 3 series that I'm super excited for in spring. But I'm going to probably talk about that a little bit more in a second, so let's just hop right into it. Welcome to Anime Streaming Showcase. Let's get started. Every 3 months, just as the seasons change, airing anime series end and new series begin. Unlike the US or the UK, series and seasons are treated a tad differently in the land of the rising sun. In the US, a show typically premieres in the fall of the year and runs through either the winter season or just before the summer season, depending on its episode length. Whereas in Japan, the episode count might be the same as the US show in 13 and 26 episodes, but the expected airing schedule is less rigid. An anime series is still tied to a season, but in the more literal season of autumn, spring, winter, or summer. Bleeding over should the show be demanded to run multiple cours. A 52-episode anime will run almost continuously versus a US series that has been picked up for 3 seasons, although those 3 seasons are 13 episodes apiece and will air a season a year. It's really not that hard, but that's just how this is set up. The idea of seasons and airing and premieres has changed a bit in the last few years thanks to sites like Netflix and Hulu and their original programming, but most network and cable services still stick to the traditional fall to summer airing schedule. By the time the networks have wrapped up their shows, Netflix is ready to drop their summertime shows and essentially keeps a viewer content throughout the entire summer. Now, for someone like myself, who has been watching anime year-round for 10 plus years now, this schedule isn't new, but it can be overwhelming at times. Nowadays, thanks to having a regular 8-to-5 job and other responsibilities that put a lot of my entertainment on the back burner, I curse the sheer amount of stuff that I'd like to watch. Juggling everything I want to watch, need to watch, or could watch creates a mild panic sometimes. Some series get pushed aside or dropped after a few episodes, but some series get added to a never-ending list of now watching or planning to watch. It's an odd give and take that I have with anime. I love that there's essentially always something on, as growing up I devoured nearly every cartoon-related program as I simply couldn't get enough of it. Before I was old enough to understand the structure of television and that shows like The Simpsons were not a year-round thing, I couldn't process it. Why can't these beautifully animated creations be a constant thing on TV? Now, thanks to streaming and downloads, I literally can watch anything I want with just a few mouse clicks and never be bored or unentertained. But by aiming to do this YouTube series, I have to manage a ton of series that I'm watching for this, series that I'm watching recreationally, series that I've missed out on that could potentially become a series covered in this series, and it often means sacrificing semi-precious time to undertake this endeavor. It's a choice that I've happily made, but lately it seems like I'm asking for a small break to simply just try and catch up on all of it. That's obviously an impossible task, and even though I'm not trying to watch every new show ever or every old show ever, because some things simply aren't for me due to demographics, their setting, their ideas, their premises, whatever, the totality of all that I want to watch is so great sometimes that it can cause a great devotion that borders on the insane. And the fact that I also like playing video games in my free time, it all just gets more compacted. Add in social life and all that nonsense. All of that being said, here is what I am planning to watch and add to my now watching list for anime premiering in spring 2018. In Hokkaido, the far northern lands of Japan, Saiichi Sugimoto survived the Russo-Japanese War of the Meiji era. Nicknamed the Invincible Sugimoto during the war, he now seeks the riches worth about 800 million yen or 6.6 million US dollars promised by the gold rush in hopes of saving the widowed wife of his now deceased comrade from the war. During his hunt for gold, he finds hints of a hidden stash of gold by corrupt criminals. Partnering with an Ainu girl that saves his life from the harsh climates of the north, they venture into a survival adventure in a race against the criminals that seek the hidden stash also. Golden Kamuy is a series I have been waiting to see adapted since I picked up the manga late last year, wherein I quickly read every available chapter of this cooking, survival, and comedic epic. It was a series I had had my eye on for a while, and I'd seen several out-of-context moments via blogs and such, but once I pulled the trigger, I was in for the long haul. Golden Kamuy has just about everything I like in a manga, from terrific action and visuals, and great comedic timing, and mostly subtle, but occasionally not so subtle references to modern and older pop culture. Creator Satoru Noda has taken careful consideration in representing the Ainu culture while wrapping it around a bonkers adventure series of betrayal, gold, and manly love. Golden Kamuy doesn't take itself seriously too often, but when it does hit with the seriousness and the drama, it hits well and it resonates. It's full of heart and perspective for Sugimoto and the viewer that carries throughout the series. Sugimoto's growth while traveling with the Ainu girl Aserpa is a relationship that's never questionable or borderline creepy. It's a father-daughter or a sibling relationship that's atypical to what many might expect from a manga or an anime. The manga has a considerable amount of content for Studio Geno to adapt, and as of this recording, I'm uncertain the episode count for the series, but I'm assuming it'll get a full 25 or 26 episodes. I suspect we'll at least see half of the story showcased by the series' end. Geno Studio have a heavy hype expectation for me towards treating Golden Kamuy well, and despite their studio's age, with only a few creations under their belt at the moment, I have high hopes. Golden Kamuy could be a great new adventure series for many, and barring just simply poor production and a complete butchering of the already terrific story in place, I will be checking out Golden Kamuy every week. Additionally, there has not been an official licensor yet. Viz Media does own the manga rights. I wouldn't be surprised if they also get the anime rights, or someone like Funimation or whomever. There are no streaming rights as of right now either. As of this video, for any series that I am talking about, there are no streaming rights available or at least admitted yet. So in the coming weeks, I'm sure that will clear the air. JD, aka Junk Dog, participates in fixed boxing matches in an underground ring in order to live. Today, he enters the ring again, but he encounters a certain person. JD wants to take on a challenge that risks everything. With Megalobox, TMS Entertainment will be stepping into the ring with their homage / spiritual successor / sequel to one of the most lauded and quite still exceptional manga ever, Ashiten no Joe, aka Joe's Tomorrow. It is said to be based on the manga, but is adapting an original story, so I'm expecting a series that evokes memories of the original production with a new sheen and a modern sentimentality. Ashita no Joe's legacy spans decades, dating back to the late 60s, and its presence has lingered throughout countless boxing and action manga and anime ever since. It's a series that released at a burgeoning time for Japan, as it was still recovering from World War II and transitioning itself in a social and economic upheaval. Whereas the lower class was a tragic part of the culture, Joe's representation of the struggle and the semi-reflection of their plight was a success and a motivator for millions. Ashita no Joe was another series I'd picked up relatively recently. I took in Joe's Tomorrow and was blown away by how omnipresent its message is and it's applicable, even in a modern viewpoint. Comparing the look of Megalobox and Ashita no Joe seems night and day, but the surface level appreciation of many societies often leaves us forgetting the other, potentially overlooked and forgotten, unspeakable / uncomfortable sides of society. We don't like to discuss the poverty of people. We ignore the homeless problem. We don't want to talk about the bad societal effects on the poorer people. We only want the glowing and the positive talking points about an area for tourism's sake. Generally, every city, state, country, whatever, will only showcase the good and will do everything they can to hide the blemishes that could disrupt their utopia. Hopefully Megalobox captures the same intensity in the message of its predecessor, but otherwise this will just be another wasted but beautiful looking presentation. With only 13 episodes planned, Megalobox could do a lot with so little, and given TMS's track record, at the very least it will be a bevy of great action scenes inside a lackluster story. Only time will tell when the bell rings for Megalobox in April. In humanity's distant future, two interstellar states, the Monarch and Galactic Empire and the Democratic Free Planets Alliance, are embroiled in a never-ending war. The story focuses on the exploits of rivals Reinhard von Mussel and Yang Wen-li as they rise to power and fame in the Galactic Empire and the Free Planets Alliance respectively. Ginga Eiyuu Densetsu to me has got to be the biggest premiere of the season, while simultaneously being the series I plan to watch day one while knowing the least overall about. I am very much aware of the late 80s beast that is Legend of the Galactic Heroes and its legacy, and I hope to one day tackle the 110 episode beast. But with the new adaptation slated to premiere in only a few weeks, I'll give this a go and return to the original thereafter. Thankfully, when compared to the 110 episodes of the original, this is immediately way more accessible, as it is only listed to be 12 episodes followed by a second season premiering as 3 films, 4 episodes each, in 2019. And of course, it is probably safe to assume those remaining episodes will see a TV premiere too, totaling a series that is only 24 episodes for now. And apparently this will cover approximately the first volume of a 10-volume space epic, so I expect more series to follow beyond 2020 depending on popularity and sales. Legend of the Galactic Heroes was one of those shows that was seemingly never going to make it stateside legally. It only ever got an official release in the last couple of years via Sentai Filmworks through their High Dive service. I do not believe, as far as this video, that they have licensed the newest series, so it could be a different licensor altogether by the premiere date. That's to say if someone even picks it up to begin with. I'm incredibly happy that it is finally legally accessible for the US, and if this new series can incite a resurgence into the original, all the better. Legend of the Galactic Heroes' audience is waiting with bated breath on what the new series may hold. But as someone who's essentially ignorant to most of it, I'm only just hyped for a space epic laden with drama and striking visuals that will possibly steal the show as the anime of the season. There are of course many other shows premiering or continuing from last season that I'm excited for too, but these three specifically are the standouts I will be eager to watch weekly and discuss. Spring 2018 is a packed season of anime, and although I'm stupidly willing to take on more than I should, like I always do, I am getting better about dropping shows that just are not working for me, rather than suffering through them to feel as though I need to be part of the conversation or just to feel as though I've accomplished something. Anime is such a rad medium, and I'm so happy to see more and more support of it, whether it's through new or retrospective eyes coming back into it. There really truly is something for everyone, and if somehow you cannot get past the look or designs of anime, or fearing that the stigma that the industry does have about it, that's your biggest barrier of entry. Sadly, that's ultimately what prevents you from discovering some of the best shows, films, or simply creations ever made. There's a lot about the fandom and the industry of anime that can be indeed off-putting, intimidating, or embarrassing downright, but you could probably say that about every pop culture fad of the last 30 years. Video games has its own stigma too. Pride is an annoying hurdle to overcome, and I only hope that we can get past it and become appreciate more in the interest openly even more as time goes on. As of late, it seems more celebrities and pop culture faces are speaking more openly about their love of anime and what they like, and it's potentially swinging into a more acceptable mentality socially, so progress is possible, but regardless, I will be here happily discussing various anime from around the years for as long as I can, and I hope to entertain while doing so. I love this stupid industry, and I love looking forward to watching and talking about as much as I can for as long as I can. So there we have it, brand new anime streaming showcase, a little different than we normally do, just because I wanted to try something fun. Not to say the other stuff that I do is not fun, but you know what I mean. And I really am going to look into doing like a movie anime streaming showcase because they seem to be getting more available, and that's really cool. And I want to talk about like Akira. God, I want to talk about that so bad. I will talk about that one day. That is, hand to God, one of the greatest films ever made for a lot of reasons. We're talking about spring anime of 2018. And just look, I'll link in below all the series of a website that's listing all the series that are premiering, and I don't think it's all of them. It's a lot, actually. It's a ton, but you can look through there and see like, oh man, this sounds good, this doesn't sound good, but there's so many, and that's what this industry is. It's just literally so much all the time, so I can't do it. It takes too much time, and it's a lot of work, but I enjoy it, and I look forward to watching the series that I'm talking about here, as well as I'm sure others that I'll pick up over the next coming months. And so, as always, I try to keep these short because I don't want to talk too much of your time. This one was probably going to take longer just because of everything I was talking about. Anyway, thank you for watching. As always, I will be back next time with a brand new anime streaming showcase. This week is a little different, and we'll try and be back on regular track next time. So we'll see you around, Denny's. Later.